My clinical practice sees couples and men and women, but I mostly see men. Men are the priority number of clients I see. And one of the things I've learned working with men is they go through all the losses, all the separations of their partner, and any grief work much differently than women do. And when you're talking about the loss of a spouse in death or through a divorce, men grieve it much differently. You know, on TV, in movies, and on the streets, you oftentimes see men jumping into relationships right away to help them calm down, to help them feel loved again. And you may even see a guy after his wife dies go and marry right away. These are not healthy men. These are basically men who need a partner so bad that they will get with anybody as quick as they can. It happens with women too. Women are terrified of being alone, as men are, and they'll jump into a relationship. They'll take maybe 3 to 6 months to themselves, and before you know it, they're getting married. I do not recommend this. And this is not what most healthy men do who are in a good marriage. In fact, many men don't jump into marriage, and many men go their life single, especially if their spouse died, because they cannot fathom the idea of really committing to another person. Whatever you decide, I think what's important is that you own it. You feel good enough about saying where you're at, when you're there, and then kind of leaving room for yourself to change, because everybody changes. Today, I really want to talk about how guys can know if they're ready to remarry. Women have less problems with this. Women talk to their moms, they talk to their dads, they talk to their friends, and they're much more vulnerable. And also, women have more close people to them as far as getting emotional support. Guys do a lot of that processing on their own, and they don't listen to a lot of other people with advice, and they don't feel vulnerable enough to really talk about it. So that's why I feel like this video is so necessary, so men can maybe go into a remarriage and make less mistakes than they feel like they may make. You know, it is important that we know up front that second marriages have a higher rate of divorce than first marriages. It's like 66% of all second marriages fail. And the number one reason they fail is due to children. So considering if you have children and if there's going to be stepchildren is a big part of this. So the first thing that I really want men to think about before they remarry is, has enough time passed since the divorce or death of your spouse? And by this, I mean, are you still having flashbacks? Are you still having memories? Do you still have their pictures up? Are you going to keep their pictures up? Where are you with them? Was the loss, many times partners will lose a spouse through cancer. That's a traumatic, long-standing disease in many cases. And you see yourself and your partner going through that together, and the pain and suffering, that takes a long time. And that is not a time to start looking for another partner, or the way your partner left you. Like, were there fights? What was going on? Do you still feel guilty? Do you still have like regret? Where are you on that? Those things all have to be considered. Are there unresolved legal and financial issues from the prior marriage? If there's anything legal that's still continuing, I would not bring another person into a situation of marriage with that. The reason is because those things should be resolved. Those things can cause a lot of contention and problems in a new marriage. Are my children stable emotionally and ready for a change? If you have children, considering where they are on the growth development stage is very important. They could look at it like you were betraying their mother. They may still, or dad, or whatever. They could be looking at it like they start fantasizing that the two of you will get together in the case of a divorce. Wherever they are, it's important that you talk to them and you see where they are, because they too will change. When your children are okay and they understand it's probably been at least 18 months or 2 years, and then your kids start understanding, okay, mom is never coming back into the future and she's never going to be part of our life anymore. As far as my dad is concerned, she'll sit, if she's alive, if it was a divorce, mom will always be mom, but mom is going to be separate from dad, is a very important delineation kids need to get to before you should remarry. Are all the custody issues resolved and working? This too is a very important thing. I've seen a lot of men remarry when they're still fighting over custody with their kids. And let me tell you, that is hard for anyone. It's really hard for a second spouse. So if that's still going on, I'd really strongly encourage you to get that settled. Yes, it's going to take lawyer fees, and you may be in a hurry or anxious to get remarried, but I'm telling you, it's not in your best interest. It's not in the marriage's best interest. And if you go through this again, you don't want it to end in another divorce. So let's think about it and take time with resolving those custody battles. Are all my emotional issues resolved? Are you still having sweats in the middle of the night? Are you still having nightmares? Do you still get up in the morning and cry about your partner, whether they died or they're divorced? Where are you emotionally with this? How do you feel? And asking yourself that can be confusing, because in our society, men aren't nurtured about what they feel. They aren't given a space. So I'm giving you that space now to kind of open it up and talk about it and think about it. You do need someone that you can talk to about where you are. Many men go into a second marriage feeling numb. They're emotionally numb. And if you think about it, that's not fair to you. And it's certainly not fair to any new partner. Have you dated long enough to see this new person in all situations? If you've seen this person get angry, have you seen them stressed out? How have you seen them as far as feeling jealous or feeling hurt by something you said? All of these things are very important moods. And those moods many times can dictate the whole climate of what you're going to go into. So don't ever get into a marriage with someone that you're like, who are you? I never saw you angry. I never saw how you resolved stress. I never saw how you dealt with conflict. I didn't know you had road rage, or I didn't know you got so stressed out that you stayed in bed. These things happen after people get married, and then they're stuck with it and they don't know how to deal with it. So they think they made another mistake. And men take divorce as a big failure. So it's important that you do your homework before you get in total married or in some kind of a commitment that you can't get out of, because it's going to hurt you and it's going to hurt your kids and possibly your partner's children. And do you have realistic expectations about forming two families? If your new person that you want to marry has children, remember, you guys are going to join kids, and it's going to be rocky, and it's going to be a transition, and it's a process, and it doesn't look like the Brady Bunch. It looks more like everybody's going in their own direction and angry and upset and confused at times. And being honest about that and seeking therapy, trying to join those families together is a really good idea. If you don't do therapy, have a mediator or someone that you can rely on to kind of help that, so that it's a smoother transition for you. Nothing is perfect, but when men take their time and they think about what they want in the future, when they're able to come to the table being transparent and honest, they have a much better chance of going into a second marriage and really making it work and really helping the love of their life create a new vision and a new future together.